Rhythm. Rhythm. Welcome to story time, my brilliant readers. Rhythm. Grog. Grog. Are you ready for our story? Mr. Frog is. Can you see him? And what about him? Can you tell what that is? Hey, you got it. It's a mosquito. Mr. Frog and the mosquito are both in our story today. Are you ready to find out what happens? We're having a garden story again today. Let's do it. Are you ready, Mr. Frog? The Song of the Teeny-Tiny Mosquito. The author of our book is Alma Flor Ada. The illustrator of our book, or the person who drew these beautiful pictures, is Vivi Escriva. Let's read our story. The Song of the Teeny-Tiny Mosquito. At the crack of dawn, perched on a log, a mosquito came into view of a frog. The frog, with a howdy hi ho, opened his mouth and took a quick gulp. Bye-bye, teeny-tiny mosquito. Oh no. Not thinking for a minute he had done anything wrong, the frog patted his stomach and burst into song. But his bogmates shouted not a single bravissimo, for instead of deep bass notes, they heard other sounds, the buzzes and squeaks of a teeny-tiny mosquito. By mid-morning, the frog had only one wish, not to be eaten by a hungry fish. This was the frog, as I'm sure you know, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny-tiny mosquito. Not thinking for a minute she had done anything wrong, the fish raised her fin and burst into song. But her seafaring friends shouted not a single bravissimo, for instead of high fish notes, they heard other sounds, the buzzes and squeaks of a teeny-tiny mosquito. With the clock chiming noon, the fish had bad luck. She landed kerplunk in the jaws of a duck. This was the fish, as I'm sure you know, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny-tiny mosquito. Not thinking for a minute he had done anything wrong, the duck opened his bill and burst into song. But his feathered friends shouted not a single bravissimo, for instead of loud quack quacks, they heard other sounds, the buzzes and squeaks of a teeny-tiny mosquito. When dusk came, the duck's life had a change in style. How different things look in a crocodile. This was the duck, as I'm sure you know, who at noon had eaten the fish, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny-tiny mosquito. Not thinking for a minute she'd done anything wrong, the croc raised her snout and burst into song. But her thick-skinned friends shouted not a single bravissimo, for instead of low croak notes, they heard other sounds. The buzzes and squeaks of a teeny-tiny mosquito. Everything shone brightly by the light of the moon as it hung in the sky above the lagoon. With a pain in her belly, the croc was soon struck, so badly, in fact, she coughed up a duck. This was the duck, as I'm sure you know, who at noon had eaten the fish, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny-tiny mosquito. The stars came out before anyone spoke. In a short while, the duck awoke. His stomach ached and he was feverish. To the surprise of his friends, he coughed up a fish. This was the fish, as I'm sure you know, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny-tiny mosquito. On that starry night, without a trace of fog, the fish squirmed in pain and coughed up a frog. This was the frog, as I'm sure you know, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny-tiny mosquito. The frog opened his mouth, a gigantic affair. And the happy mosquito took to the air, many buzzes and squeaks, and a howdy hi-ho, with a bye-bye froggy thrown in as the teeny-tiny mosquito shot into the sky on his merry way, buzzing and squeaking to this very day. And ear-splitting shouts of bravissimo are heard after each song of the teeny-tiny mosquito. The end. I hope you enjoyed our book today, The Song of the Teeny-Tiny Mosquito. Could you figure out what bravissimo means? Yeah, do you think it's like when you get very, very excited because you think a performance, like a song, is very, very good? Bravissimo, bravissimo. It's a fun word to say. You try it. Bravissimo. Very good. Do you think you could retell that story? I bet it would be awful fun to try. Wait up. Wait up. Go. Wait up. Thank you for doing story time with me today in the garden. I love you and I miss you. Keep reading.